welcome to the Just Jim Radio Show. We are here to be here with you and for you and to share with you information and inspiration that can make a difference in your life. We've got a beautiful day going on out there in paradise here where we are, and looking to bring what we can to help you look at, see, feel, experience, express, manifest, create what it is you really want to in your life. We do that in different ways, conversations and interviews and discussions about different topics and ideas that might have you just see a little different angle or a different view. And so we do that in various ways. Today we're talking to Jane VITTITOE, who's a licensed social worker and has been working in the field of addiction for over 12 years with a focus on relapse and recovery. She's currently seeing clients in private practice and is working in the Endocrinology department at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. Well, that's a tongue twister, Jane. Focusing on the relationship between emotional well-being and physical health. Wonderful, wonderful work you're doing. And she's also receiving training at Sarasota Center of Light, focusing on developing consciousness and connecting with her spirit guides to add a new dimension of service to better assist her clients. Her practical training as a social worker and her elevated awareness creates a new level of ability to make a difference in people's lives. And she's here to help me today share a little bit about how we might be able to make a difference in your life. Welcome, Jane. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, our topic today is the freedom of choice. That sounds like an interesting thing to be talking about. And I want to make sure that as we're moving into this, it isn't just about one thing or another. It isn't about choice. It isn't about freedom. It's about what can come from us choosing. And when we do, the freedom it can create and the freedom we have of making a choice. It's important that we learn that not only on focusing creates freedom, but it allows us to see each other in our lives differently and more fully. And we all know that life doesn't happen to us. We create it. And so people might say, hold it a minute, Jim, you don't understand what's going on in my life. Well, we're looking at principles and ideas that we have thoughts and we have feelings. We create our own experience by our choices that we make. We choose to be where we are, do what we do, feel like we do, think like we do. We certainly have outside influences, but the experience of it, both within us and in our lives, is something that's created by the way that we take a look at what's going on and how we see it, experience it, express it, and then therefore bring what we do in our lives based on our choice. So tell me, Jane, how have you shifted the way you are being aware of yourself within recently? And as a result, how are you experiencing your life differently?
Well, this is an actually really interesting question based on what I've been experiencing lately. Not too long ago, I woke up one morning and sat up and said to myself, I did this yesterday. I woke up yesterday in the same place, in the same room. I went through the day, and throughout the week, I just experienced kind of a deja vu, like this is the same stuff. These are the same interactions. I'm reacting the same way to the people that I'm seeing. And what I realized was that was my choice. This is where freedom of choice kind of first came into even being, like a thought, like freedom to choose how I'm looking at things or feeling about things. When I was going through the week kind of feeling this deja vu, I first kind of became like an observer of what was going on. I was watching, I would laugh at something and think I laughed at that last week, or just any interactions or my own reactions and feelings towards just about everything that was going on during the day. But as I was observing, then I was becoming more aware of the choices I was making, which was really just to do it the same way every day without thinking that there may actually be a different way to react or be a different way to see something. And that's really what kind of shifted it, just starting with that observing and then having the awareness of what I was actually doing.
Yeah, it's interesting how we sometimes get so caught up in or distracted by or certainly overwhelmed or caught up in life. It seems like it has us instead of us having it.
Right.
But when we stop, we take a closer look and we pay attention to what's going on, even if it's a Groundhog Day kind of an experience, now we're becoming aware of the fact that it's actually happening. And we realize, hold it, every choice I've made up to now has actually created what I'm experiencing. And so if that's the case, then I have this freedom stuck on my
Yeah.
merry-go-round, my ways of
Yes.
life, or my habits or patterns I've created. I can stop in any moment with that awareness you're talking about and begin to see life for what it really is. Stop,
Yes.
look, and listen is what I like to use. It's an old term used in defensive driving when they used to be a lot of railroad crossings. You'd stop, you'd look, and you'd listen before you cross the railroad tracks. Maybe dating myself there a little bit, but it's the same thing
Right.
when it comes to life. If you stop,
Yeah.
look, and not listen to life, but listen to what's going on within you, then you can start to use free will, intention, and the power of choice to make a difference. We
Right.
can see things for what they really are. And when we do that, I mean, that's the key there. I mean, it's like, here we arrive. This is what's going on. This is how I'm seeing it. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking about it. Now, what really matters to me? How do I really want it to be? This isn't happening to me. I'm creating this experience.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes severe things happen in life that are difficult to deal with, but moment by moment, we have a choice in how we're going to see and find our own inner truth. And I always love to say, in looking at what really matters to us, then we're able to bring that to life. And rather than trying to get meaning from life, when we decide and we see with our awareness what's going on, we can bring that meaning to our life by making the choices of how we're going to think or how we're going to feel or what we're going to do. It's not always easy, but it's certainly that point of freedom to be able to choose differently. And when
Right.
we look in closely and get clarity, can sometimes surprise us what we see. Talk
Mm-hmm.
about something you've noticed that you've seen it in a different way, a different view or different side of, as a result of taking a little closer look consciously in your life.
So I was looking at my family and noticing that when I was starting to have awareness of how I was actually seeing them and reacting to them, I noticed that I was looking at it more in a way of, these people are asking me, for things. They're taking my time. They're in a way where it was creating more of a, I mean, I love them, but it was creating more of like an annoyance. And I continued to view them this way, every day, every day. So when I became aware of that, I really took a look at them. Like, I see my children, they're so beautiful, they're so kind, they're so funny, they're so witty. When I watch them in a group, how loud they are, but where may have viewed the loudness as, oh, they're so loud. Like, it's so much fun that they love life. And looking at them in that way, I see them completely different. The situation's completely different. It changes the way I'm able to respond to them, and and that's all. And that's my choice. It's my choice to look at that way instead of looking at I'm being interrupted or however I was choosing to just continue to look before. So that's a huge shift.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to be able to do that with just about anybody because we're all trying to make our way. We have, we think we have so much time and so much space in our life, and we're striving to make sure we've got enough for ourselves. We want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure we've got enough for those we care about, and sometimes life can kind of close in on us, and if we don't stop long enough to look at it, we can begin to do what I call reacting,
Mm-hmm.
almost a survival instinct when
Right.
you're bothering me, you're taking my time, and we can shift that, like you said, to responding differently. And that
Yeah.
responding is a very different thing because when we're responding, we're doing that from a place that's conscious. We're able to recognize, hold it. They're not doing that to me. They're just being themselves. And if I look a little closer and take the pressure and the tension and the stress that I'm carrying around inside of me because I need more time or I need more space, and not blame them for what they're taking up, I can
Mm-hmm.
consciously participate with them from a loving, caring place that I can respond to them. I like the term responsibility as being not obligation, not like having to be the parent for your children or having to do this for this person because they're this part in your life, but the ability to respond, responsibility, the ability to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Right.
not just to individuals, it's like, how are we going to show up in life? Are we going to show up like being pulled around and pushed around by what's going on? Or are we going to turn inward and bring our inspiration, our own knowing, our own being to life? Are we going to respond from that place? And like you said, with your children or interactions or relationships or work situations, they can shift completely different as a result of coming from a different place and choosing as you go. And you know, it's important, not just how you choose, you know, or what you choose, but how you choose to be as a result of that. That's that ability to respond,
Right.
show up. You know, it's sometimes it's stronger because it maybe builds more confidence or courage within you. Sometimes it's softer because you're wanting to relax and enjoy something a little bit more. But you're doing it consciously, as if the freedom of choice is choosing to be conscious. Or like you were talking about the observer earlier, when
Right.
you're looking at, you know, connecting within and getting that inner truth and your inner knowing, how do you experience your inner knowing, your intuition, your inner guidance? How does that show up for you? What does that look like or feel like? For those of us, who are listening, they might want to go, well, what's he talking about? This inner knowing, this intuition, this awareness. How does that show up for you in your life?
Well, so that's actually what I'm continuing to work on in the classes and the mediumship classes is kind of feeling the connection of my spirit guides. But right now, a lot of it is just if I'm in a conversation or I'm speaking with someone or there's something going on, I'll feel it. You know, I'll feel whatever feeling that I have towards what is actually going on is kind of the direction I'll head in with how I'm responding. If I'm feeling defensive or I'm feeling there's something I'm not liking, it's time to. Then I realize in that moment I cannot respond. You know, responsibility there with that and feeling uncomfortable about it and. Then I can actually take some time to breathe and meditate, feel my spirit guides around me. And then, I don't know, it just feels kind of like a shift. The whole thing just shifts. There's more peace. And then my responses are just different. They're helpful. But that's a piece of it that I'm still working on as far as the connection to the spirit guides. Because I know, and I've talked to you before, and that you actually will hear something, correct? Like,
Hear, sense,
yeah,
feel. Yeah,
right.
yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you know, for those who are developing that deeper sense of awareness and wanting to
Mm-hmm.
connect to spirit at that level, it is about opening up into uh, our own personal awareness. Whether someone's been doing it for a long time or they're just beginning, it's about doing what you've been talking about with your children or with what's going on in your life. It's about becoming more aware and conscious. And all that really is paying more attention, not to what's going on outside,
Mm.
but paying attention to what's going on inside. Back to that stop, looking, and listening,
Right, right.
stopping, looking within, and listening to what your own, you know, call it your gut, call it your intuition, call it your instinct. It's different for everybody, but one of the ways that's simple for people to understand is, you know, listening to the whispers of your heart. Your heart will always speak the truth to you. Um, it'll always come from that place of letting you know what's real and true. Or, you know, I call it trusting the inspiration of our soul. Well, that means there's that inner part of you that knows, you know, better. And as you open to allow your connection, whatever that might be, and it's different for everybody, the universe,
Mm-hmm.
source, God, spirit,
Right.
it makes no difference what it is, but opening to what you trust and believe brings guidance or inspiration or encouragement to you. It kind of awakens and activates almost like an illumination within that'll let you experience yourself more clearly inside within you rather than in relationship to what's going on outside. So rather than having what's going on around you and trying to determine what's best to do, move this pawn or this